I've been using the OnePlus 6T since it first got released back in November of last year, which I realized wasn't that long ago, but it's enough to give a confident opinion on what to expect from this phone after a couple months of use. Now I have to say the overall build has held up really well. Granted, I did use OnePlus's amazing nylon case, but the screen hasn't received any major cracks or scratches in the time that it's been in my pocket, along with my keys. And the aluminum design hasn't turned out to be a problem either. Matter of fact, it still feels nice to hold, and I still stand by OnePlus's choice for button placement and the addition of the alert slider. The only complaint that I have with the hardware is that the earpiece grill does get dirty over time, and it's extremely hard to clean out since it's so small and thin. This was also the first OnePlus phone to get rid of the headphone jack, and I'm not gonna lie, I do still miss it, but it was bound to happen eventually. Since then, I've been jamming out with OnePlus's Type-C bullet earphones, which sound good. What I've been really happy with is the giant display and the small droplet notch at the top. It almost never gets in the way of any content on the screen, and when it does, I'm only missing out on a few pixels. I sometimes even forget that it's there. As for the software, I didn't want to go over any OnePlus software features because I'm sure you're well aware of them, but I did want to talk about my overall favorite feature in Oxygen OS. It's the navigation gestures. Not many Android devices running on Android Pie have created an amazing gesture navbar, but OnePlus is one of the few exceptions. Everything feels so intuitive, and jumping to my home screen, recents page, or going back is nice and quick, plus it gives me a bit more screen real estate than the regular navbar buttons. OnePlus is also still going strong on providing frequent software updates, especially with the open beta program. They haven't released any crazy major new features since release, just a few bug fixes, some minor changes within the UI, and a few small extra features. For example, the category tags in OnePlus's app drawer looks different. There have been a few enhancements for gaming mode, including a new option called esports mode, some random small tweaks in several OnePlus's apps, and a new feature called quick reply in landscape, which brings up a floating keyboard when quick replying to certain apps, so my keyboard doesn't take up the entire screen. I can almost guarantee though that once Android Q gets released, the 6T is going to be one of the first few devices to get it, especially considering the company's past history of major updates. With the release of the OnePlus 6T McLaren edition, this sexy new model got an amazing new colorful animation for the in-display fingerprint sensor, and I was able to enable it manually on my regular 6T by using ADB. I absolutely love it because it's much more colorful and exciting than the ones that came with the original OnePlus 6T. I also noticed that it recognizes my fingerprint better. I'll drop a link down below so you can also find out how to get this animation on your OnePlus 6T. Speaking of that fancy new in-display fingerprint reader, I can't say I'm a fan of it just yet. Sure, I can unlock my phone in a revolutionary way, but with the hardware still being in its early stages, recognition has been pretty slow for me. I experience at least a couple mismatches every day, and it just doesn't fit OnePlus's motto of never settle. If they stick with the concept though, I'm sure OnePlus will improve the sensor's recognition and unlocking speed with the next model. Luckily, Face Unlock is still an extremely fast and reliable alternative, so no harm, no foul. As for the battery, it's still holding up well. Obviously, it's only been 3 months, and as most of you know, for a battery to start showing its true colors, it has to have been used for more than, say, 6 months to a year. Still, if you're curious, I'm getting a screen on time of around 5 hours. Your results may vary, but I do consider myself to be a heavy user, and I always have Wi-Fi or mobile data, GPS, and Bluetooth enabled at all times, along with the brightness set to near max. And when I use the phone, I tend to use a lot of social apps, watch plenty of videos, and do a lot of messaging, gaming, emails, and web browsing. But there were some rare days when I managed to almost kill the battery near the middle of the day when playing games for several hours straight. In those situations, I could still plug the phone into OnePlus's fast charger, and in a little less than an hour, I could get 3/4 of my battery back. The big determining factor as to why I've stuck with this phone and keep coming back to it is because of the performance. Very few phones can keep up with OnePlus's speeds, and when I watch or read smartphone reviews for other new flagships, almost everyone likes to compare their phone to the latest OnePlus device because they're always so gosh darn fast. Everything from the application loading time to the animations and transitions, to the scrolling speeds, Face Unlock, and any 3D graphic intensive games have no problem running on this device. Plus, thanks to the 8GB of RAM, I've experienced great memory management, allowing me to run plenty of apps in the background for long periods of time. I guess after hyping the phone up a lot, I can tell you a few minor things that I think OnePlus can improve upon. As I said before, the in-display fingerprint sensor definitely needs to get better in the next OnePlus release. I also really miss the notification LED. Since the 6T doesn't have an always on display like a Samsung smartphone, I couldn't really tell what notifications I had gotten until I interacted with the device. With ambient display, any incoming notifications only got shown for a couple of seconds before the screen decided to turn off again. Another thing, the single downfiring speaker wasn't as loud as I would have liked it to be. Hopefully in the future they can go dual stereo by utilizing the earpiece as a speaker like what Google did with their Pixel 3 and Samsung does with its Galaxy S phones. Lastly, I'm still waiting for water resistance and wireless charging. All that being said, if you're looking for a phone with the best bang for your buck, I still stand by the OnePlus 6T. With top of the line smartphones now commonly surpassing the $1,000 threshold, a starting price of $550 doesn't seem that bad anymore, especially if it's a phone that's built to last with constant software updates, an amazing battery life, and has very competitive performance. I'll drop a link down below so you can check out the OnePlus 6T for yourself. If you want to see a more detailed review of the device, then click the eye in the right corner to check out my full review of the phone from 2 weeks after it was released. One last thing, for those of you wondering what setup I decided to use after rocking the 6T for so long, I'll be making a separate video showing off what's on my OnePlus 6T. So make sure you sub to the channel with the notification bell turned on so you don't miss out on that video. Either way, that's been my experience with the OnePlus 6T. Thank you guys for watching. As always, make sure to thumbs up the video if you enjoyed it to show your support. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.